Welcome to the castle, everybody. This is Nightsaber Z42, and this is Character Vault, where I go through the entire process of creating a character from start to finish. And today, I've been waiting for this one for quite a while. We have IRONSWORN STARFORGED. Now, I've done a review of IRONSWORN years ago, probably like last year, honestly, can't remember, and it is a very intuitive system that really does solo play best. And the only thing I didn't really like about it was that it was just a fantasy setting. And now we actually have a sci-fi setting for that system. And so we're going to create a character from start to finish. So what do we actually need to actually create a character? Well, you're going to need the rulebook for sure. Character sheet. You can get the asset deck, which has all of these cards for things like moves and your, I guess, quote-unquote feats. I can't remember what they call them. I think it's like Pathfinders or something like that. You're going to need a pencil, and then you're probably going to need some of these paper clips if you don't want to jot down your stats like your momentum, health, spirit, and supply on note cards. Of course, note cards are always beneficial in any setting, so go ahead and grab some of those if you'd like as well. For now, we're going to go ahead and turn into the rulebook. Now, I do like that there are two ribbons for this one, and they're both different colors, so I can actually keep track of which ribbon goes where. And the actual character creation rules start on page 100. It's just a quick blurb of what you're going to need, and the fact that you have to play a human, but let's be honest, this is an RPG, you can definitely do whatever you want with it. The actual process, or the summary for character creation, starts on 102 though. So let's go through that summary. The first step, we're going to ready our assets. Those are the cards. We're going to separate them into different categories. Then we're going to choose two paths. Those are going to be the two assets from among the paths that are going to sort of define our character. We're going to create a backstory for said character, and then we're going to write our background vow. After that, we're going to board your starship. So we're going to take the starship command vehicle asset and then envision what that starship actually does and give it a name. We're going to choose our final asset, so we can select one asset from the module, support vehicle, companion, or path cards. Then we can set our stats. Then we can set our condition meters, so that would be things like momentum, health, supply, and spirit. And then we'll envision our character, so like their look and their personality and things like that. Then we will name our character, and then we're going to gear up. So that's going to be anything that's important or unusual equipment. And then we'll actually play. Let's talk about these asset cards for a moment. Because these asset cards, they're very interesting, to say the least. So we have different categories like supply vehicles. Those are like little vehicles that can go onto your starship. My bad. Modules help to enhance your actual command vehicle, which is your starship. The command vehicle itself is the starship, and you do start with that. Inside of this deck, we do have these three cards: Ask the Oracle, Change Your Fate, or the Pay the Price cards. Those are just references. Or if you have this guy right here, the reference guide, then that's all that you'll really need. You won't need any of that. And by the way, this reference guide is a blessing in disguise. I love that thing. Then we have deeds. We won't be using deeds for quite a while, at least not during character creation. That's going to come into play during the actual game. We have companions that you can take. Well, I was going to say possession, but that seems a little awkward. That you can gain during play, and I think you can also take one at character creation, possibly. And then we have a lot of different path cards, and the path cards, I would equate them to being feats, like in Dungeons & Dragons. These are pretty much like your powers. They're going to be what define your character overall. So those are the 4 actual categories of what we have to work with. And remember, we do start with the Starship. And so, let's see, for our first step, we're going to ready the asset. Then we're going to choose 2 paths. So let's take a look at these paths. These paths are actually, I really like these cards because they actually tell you what they do. And they also tell you what you can upgrade into. So you get the base power, and then you actually get its upgrades. And for example, Bounty Hunter has 2. So the Bounty Hunter path, when you take a bounty contract and swear an iron vow to see it done, add +1. On a strong hit, you've got a solid lead and may mark progress on the quest. When you fulfill your vow on a hunt, make the legacy reward 1 rank higher. So that's 1 extra box if already epic. And then we have different upgrades for that. So as we gain experience, we can opt in to buy those upgrades over time. So I've already kind of thought about what I wanted this character to be. And I was thinking that I wanted him to be more of like a bounty hunter type character. Something along the lines of like the Mandalorian or something like that. And so bounty hunter is going to be one that we're going to take. And I also wanted him to be armored up. So kind of going along the lines of the Mandalorians. They have that sweet armor and lots of weapons and things like that. And so we're going to take bounty hunter and armored. So armored, if you wear your finely crafted set of personal armor, when you face danger, react under fire, or clash against physical attacks or impact, you may put trust in your armor's strength. If you do, preset your action die to 4. On a strong hit with a match, take +2 momentum as you build confidence, make an impression on your foes, or improve your position. And of course, there are 2 different abilities that we could upgrade into for that as well. So those are going to be the 2 that I'm going to start with, and there really isn't a place on the character sheet to put these paths on. I think it's just assumed that you're either going to print these off and then mark them that way, or just have the cards and keep them close to you. So that's what I'm going to do. So another thing about these assets and choosing your 2 paths, let's say that you actually needed some inspiration. There are some different backgrounds that you can look into. For example, let's say that you want to be a monster hunter. Okay, you can take the gunner asset and the slayer asset, and then your job's pretty much all the way done for you. Or if you wanted to be a super soldier, you can take the augmented asset and the mercenary asset. Alternatively, you can roll a D100 and then use that background and then take those assets as well. So the third step is to create a backstory. So as you begin play in Starforged, your character is a person with few ties to others. The Forge is a vast galaxy, and your former home, if you had one, is lost to you, forsaken by you, or a distant memory. You can roll a D100 and take one of the backstory prompts here. You have things like you abandoned your kin after learning a troubling truth, all the way up to your wanderlust carried you far away. I'm actually going to go ahead and choose one because I have a particular idea of what I want from my bounty hunter person. You escaped an abusive or unjust situation is the one that I'm actually going to choose. So something sent us from our, I guess, home in a way. And that's what we're going to stick with for that. We're not going to elaborate too much into that because that could actually come into play as we play the game. So the next thing we're going to do is write our background vow. You'll envision and mark down a background vow to represent a primary motivation or ultimate goal. So if you're having trouble coming up with a background vow, try rolling on some oracle tables for inspiration. Roll action and theme, which is on pages 296 to 297, or character goal, pages 331, and interpret the result. You can also take a look back at the quest starters for your selected truths in the previous exercise, which is something that we actually haven't done. And I'm not going to do until I actually play or start play. So for now, our background vow, since we ran away from some sort of an unjust situation, I'm thinking along the lines of some sort of mega ruler type situation. If you think of like an Emperor Palpatine or a Darth Vader type of a character that's ruling over a section of the galaxy or even the entire galaxy, we kind of escaped from maybe the world that they occupied and we're trying to get back our home or something like that. So that could actually be a background vow for us, is to overthrow the evil ruler or even to liberate our home planet. I think that would actually be a really good one to start with. And you know, now that I actually really think about it, maybe our background could be that we were denied a birthright, right, because we were forced to abandon our home planet. That would also be an interesting take on that scenario. So anyways, we're going to flip over. So we're going to board our starship. So that means we get to take the starship asset card and add it to our, I guess, group of cards. So now we have 3. So you take the Starship Command Vehicle Asset card. This is your interstellar spacecraft. The default marked ability provides the basic functions of the ship. You can claim the other 2 abilities when you advance. For now, leave them unmarked. We can also give the starship some history. So envision how you obtained or earned this ship. You can come up with your own origin or roll or pick from the table below. If you use a result from the table, take a moment to consider and elaborate on the suggestion. And I'm thinking that perhaps because we were forced to flee from our home planet, the ship that we're actually on is from our home planet. Maybe the person that helped us escape owned this starship before that person eventually passed away, maybe due to old age, or maybe something happened to them. I don't know quite yet. And we kind of just pseudo-inherited that starship. So I think that'll be a pretty good thing to have. So also, we can, as we envision the starship, your ship is an important aspect of your character, and a character in its own right. What does it look like? What makes it interesting or uniquely yours? Does it have any peculiar quirks? If nothing occurs to you now, you can flesh it out and play, or roll once or twice on the table below. And so these are just little quirks, things that make your starship a little bit more noticeable in your mind's eye. So you have things like engine room is scorched with old burn marks, or the hull rattles and groans in atmospheric flight. Removable plate decks provide access to hidden storage, or things tend to go missing for no logical reason. Things like that, which I would probably flesh that out over time. We get to choose our final asset. So now that your ship is ready, pick one final asset. This time, you aren't limited to picking a path. You can choose from any of these asset categories. So module, support vehicle, a companion, or another path if you so choose. And this one was actually a difficult choice for me because I was taking a look at all the different paths, and there are so many good paths that would really go well with a bounty hunter sort of character, or at least the likes that I'm envisioning. And there's also some really good modules too that enhance your starship. And the one that I'm actually going to take is the module for medbay. So module medbay. When you use your medbay to heal yourself or another patient, you may re-roll your action die if its value is less than your vehicle's integrity. And I think this would be important for us to have because our dude is traveling alone and he's going to get in some sticky situations where he's going to get hurt and he's going to have to heal himself, maybe in the middle of nowhere. So I think having a medbay in his starship would actually help him out in the long run there. So we're going to add that to our stack. Now we have 4 cards. We're finally up to step 7. We're going to set our stats. Your character has 5 stats that represent your capabilities, nature, and approach. Each is given a value from 1 to 3. When you make a move and roll dice, you usually add one of your stats to your action die. The move will tell you what stat to add or will give you a choice. Your stats are edge, which is quickness, agility, and prowess when fighting at a distance. Heart, which is courage, willpower, empathy, social ability, and loyalty. You have iron, physical strength, endurance, aggressiveness, and prowess when fighting at close quarters. We have shadow, which is sneakiness, deceptiveness, and cunning. And then we have wits, expertise, knowledge, and observation. So we do have an array of stats already planned out for us. We get to arrange the values in any order, but we have 3, 2, 2, 1, and 1. So on our character sheet, there is a nice spot towards the top of our character sheet for that. We have edge, heart, iron, shadow, and wits. And I think since we're a bounty hunter, one of the most important things that we are going to need to know how to do is how to shoot. And so I think edge is going to help us with that. And prowess when fighting at a distance. I believe so, because iron is physical strength. So edge is going to be at +3. Iron is going to be at +2. I think shadow is going to be a +1. I don't really see a bounty hunter needing to sneak around all that much. I think he's going to want to get up close and personal and state his business and be done with it. So that means our wits or our heart is going to bump up. And I think wits is going to be our other +2, and our heart's going to be our last +1. Next, we get to set our condition meters. Your condition meters are on the left and right sides of the character sheet. You can use a paperclip or token to mark the current values. Just don't write it in pen or pencil because it's going to be changing constantly. First, set your health, spirit, and supplies meters to 5. Then set your momentum to +2. Below the momentum meter, you'll find boxes to write your max momentum and momentum reset. So your max momentum is going to be +10 and your momentum reset is going to be +2. Now, if we ever take any impacts, these are like things that can happen to our character that have a negative benefit, and that negative benefit is going to be that our max momentum and our momentum reset will go down by 1 for each impact that we have. I think to a maximum of 2 impacts, I believe. So I have a paper clip, and what you're going to do is on the sides of those, just pretty much put the paper clip on the sides of the paper like so. Although I'm probably going to do it this way. There we go. I usually like to do colorful paper clips so I can see them a little bit better, but I don't have any color clips, so oh well. All right, that is done. Let's see what else we have. We have to envision your character. Now that the mechanical and background aspects of your character are all set, take a moment to envision their appearance and personality. To start, just define 1 or 2 facts for their physical look, how they act, and what they wear. You don't need much detail at this stage. You can discover the nuances of your character through play. I do know that one thing that I want my character to have is a helmet at all times, much like the Mandalorian. I guess we can just say that this is going to be Djon, but oh well. I do want him to have his helmet and his armor. So those 2 things are going to be his defining aspects, the thing that really makes him stand out in a crowd. And last but not least, we get to name our character. And actually, speaking of the Djon, we're going to name our character Djon. But not just any Djon. It's going to be just like Djon, but it's going to be Djon. So D-J-O-N. I was kind of really contemplating D-J-O-H-N, but I think D-J-O-N is pretty good. And he is a he, him. His call sign, ooh, that's going to take a little bit of some thought because I don't really have one. Perhaps that is something that he can earn during the game. I don't think that's going to be something that he's going to start off with. And then we get to gear up. So, in Starforged, you won't need a detailed list of equipment. Your supply meter is an abstract representation of your general readiness, clothes, fuel, energy, food, water, tools, weapons, ammo, mundane equipment, and financial resources. You are equipped and armed as appropriate to your vision for your character and the nature of your setting. You can assume you have access to some fundamental necessities necessary for space travel and exploration, either carried with you or stored on your ship. This is your space kit. And our space kit will include a sealed environment suit, flashlights, toolkit, med kit, and a personal computer. So we're definitely going to be taking those things, but in addition to that, I do want him to have at least some sort of a laser pistol. And I think we're just going to add that to the bottom of our character sheet down here, where there's at least a little bit of room. That way we can say that we do have something to defend ourselves with, or at least at ranged. Which I guess that would also mean that he could have like a some sort of a knife as well, like multi-purpose knife kind of a deal. We're just gonna put knife for now. That way, if he ever does get into close combat, he can pull that out and, stab somebody or something. And that is actually it. Djon, for the most part, is ready. There really isn't a whole lot to creating a character in Ironforged or Starforged. I really like it is simple, but there's also a lot of options. Like, there's this many options for your character. And over the course of play, you can get more of these paths, companions, and modules. I really did struggle when I was thinking up of a character that I wanted to show here and even to play as, because I am going to play with Djon. Whether or not I wanted to take a companion, because some of the companions are fairly interesting. Like, there's a Banshee companion, a combat bot, a glow cat, a protocol bot, a rockhorn sidekick, so another human person that you could wrangle around with you, a sprite, a survey bot, a symbiote, a utility bot, or a void glider. And I really was thinking, maybe I could have a sidekick. But then, you're thinking about these things and it's like, what would we start with and what can we gain through play? And ultimately, I decided that a companion would be perfect for gaining during play. A path, like bounty hunter and armor, that would be something that I think he would start with. That's part of his culture, perhaps, or something along those lines. Same thing with modules. I did struggle to come up with a module, but ultimately when I thought about where Djon was going and where he came from and his role as the bounty hunter, it only made sense that he would have a medical bay, that he would, patch himself up after, being hurt or something like that, or being injured. And having a med bay just makes sense. Some of the support vehicles are things like an exosuit, a hover bike, a rover, service pod, shuttle, a skiff, or a snub fighter. It didn't really make much sense to start off with that, but you could if you were wanting to go along that path. If you wanted to be like an ace fighter type of a person or something like that. But I actually really like where we went with Djon, and I really like his background because I knew that I wanted to have like a Star Wars type vibe. Obviously, I have a freaking Mandalorian named Djon, but having this background vow of claiming back our home planet and then like having the evil ruler occupying that planet and ruling the galaxy from there, I really like that, and I'm excited to really see where that goes during play. The deeds are things like having a bondmate, finding a homestead, or being marked, being labeled as the Oathbreaker, a Revenant, being labeled as Survivor or Vanguard. These actually come into play during the game. I don't think you get to start off with any of these. So that is Djon. the bounty hunter who's going to reclaim his home planet, hopefully someday, and not die. So for now, that is going to do it for this video. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Give this video a huge thumbs up to support the series, and definitely comment on if you would like to see this game in action. I am planning to do a bit of an example of play to kind of show you guys how this game actually functions during, in real time and things like that. But if you would like to see the legacy of Djon and how he goes about reclaiming his home planet, definitely comment down in the comments below, and I will take that into consideration. For now, I will see you guys in the next video.